again! Just recently, I placed an order for a plant that I'm really excited for. It should be arriving tonight or tomorrow, and I felt like that would be a really good opportunity for me to kind of custom paint a terracotta pot to put that plant in. We are outside on my back patio to do this project, so I apologize for all the background noise that might be happening, or my dog might be running in and out of the frame. Just kind of part of being outside. So right now I have this terracotta pot, and I've already primed it with 2 layers of KILLZ, which is just what I had in my basement. It should set a pretty good base coat so that the colors that I paint the pot come out even. And I am going to create the pattern using painter's tape and these paint samples that I kind of just have left over from when we have been picking out colors for our house over the years. And I'm going to seal the pot after I paint it with this polycrylic. That is so that the paint doesn't like totally flake off the second that any moisture hits the pot, because terracotta pots breathe and kind of leach the moisture out through the sides. So if you don't seal it after you paint it, there's a good chance that your paint is just going to flake right off of it. I am going to start off with a base coat of this color. It's just a really simple, kind of plain beige-y color. It's called Oat Bran, and it's by Valspar. I'm not sure how old this paint sample is, so I'm going to give it a really good shake. So now that that's all shaken up, I'm just going to put 1 layer of this Oat Bran color on the entire outside of the pot to get that base coat of actual color on there, because I don't think that I want the parts that are covered by the painter's tape later to just be white. I kind of want it to be those earthy tones that I was talking about in my intro video when I was talking about my wardrobe. So I think we're ready to get started on that. Now that I have my base color on the pot, I am going to just let it sit outside and dry for a while so that I will be able to tape over it and then kind of get the pattern that I want with my accent color that I have over here. So I'll see you guys later. It's been probably about an hour, and this is now dry. It doesn't feel tacky or anything like that, kind of all the way around. Now I'm going to get started with the painter's tape. I'm just kind of tape randomly, I guess, and just put a bunch of triangles all over the outside of the pot. I want it to look really unplanned and triangular. So we'll get started now. Part of this that is the most difficult is really making sure that you are working the tape into the lip that is under the top of the pot and getting it smooth along the bottom. These lines are probably not going to come out perfect, so that's kind of something that you have to know going into this, but try and get them as perfect as possible if you want. If not, then this is exactly what you're going for. So I'll just keep on keeping on. a really geometric pattern. I'm pretty happy with how it worked out, and I'm gonna get started with the accent colors. So first, I want to go in with this color. I'm not sure what this sort of container or receptacle is called, but it looks like it's got a sponge roller attached to the top. It's this really pretty kind of peachy terracotta-ish color. The label on the top says that it's the color we used to have in our dining room and that it is a Martha Stewart color. I just really like it, so I am going to go in with this color first and just paint some of the sections, and then I'll go in with other colors. Gotta go wash my brush. And I'm going to move into using this green that's by Valspar. It's called Sparkling Sage. It's a really pretty light pastel-y green color. Wash my brush off again. The last color I'm going to use is also by Valspar, and it is called Silver Fox. It's a very pretty, kind of muted blue color that I think is going to look really good, especially with that oat bran shade that we used as a base. Gonna go in with that on the parts that I haven't put another color on yet. Now everything is covered, and I'm seeing that I'm gonna need to do a second coat of the peachy terracotta color, just because I can, with the brush strokes, see the base oat bran color like through it. So I'm gonna go rinse my brush off again. Since this is the first color that I did, it's already dry. And the key to this is doing multiple thin layers as opposed to one thick layer, because the thick layer is going to take a really long time to dry, whereas multiple thin layers will dry a lot faster. So I'm gonna go ahead and go wash my brush off again and dip back into that terracotta color so that I get a nice even cover. I think everything is covered now, and I have paint all over my hands, so I need to go wash them. But I am now going to give this about an hour to dry, and then I will peel off the tape and see what we've got. Might do some touch-ups if any of the lines bled, just because this is kind of old painter's tape and it might not be sticking the best. But once everything is touched up in the way that I want it to be forever, I will go ahead and put a coat of the polycrylic on the outside. So now I'm just going to clean myself up, clean my space up, and let this guy dry for a while. It's been about an hour now, so it's time to take off the tape. What I'm expecting is that the tape did not fully seal to every part of the pot. So I've also got my paintbrush and that oat bran color that we used for the base, just to touch up any major issues. So I'm just gonna start peeling it off. As I expected, there are quite a few spots where the tape just didn't hold the paint back quite enough, so I'm just gonna go through and touch it up. You can see it especially around the lip, but I think it's gonna look really good once everything is touched up, so I'll just get going on getting that done. Okay, so now that I've gone through and fixed those things. I've messed up some other things. So I'm actually going to just go in with my fingers and these other colors and kind of spot correct the little spots that got the oat brand color on them because I was messing around with it. The good thing about doing that little correction is that you'll end up with a much nicer finished product. However, it does add to the time of the project a little bit because now, before we put on the polycrylic, we are gonna have to let that stuff sit and dry for a while, and it shouldn't take too long because they're like the thinnest layers of paint. But if we go in with the polycrylic right away, we'll kind of smudge all the colors together that we just put on, and that would not be a very nice look. So I'm gonna let this dry now. Hopefully we don't lose light before I get back to do the polycrylic. The dry time on that last little kind of blemish fix-up layer was only about 30 minutes, so that was evidently enough time not only for the paint to dry, but for my neighbor to decide that it was time to get the weed whacker out, so I apologize for that. But I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the polycrylic, and that's just going to protect the paint that you just put on from moisture damage while your plant is living in there. I did just decide that I'm going to coat the entire inside of the pot because that is where the moisture is coming from, so I would assume that having that extra barrier of protection would help the paint stay intact just a little bit more. Now that I feel like everything is covered, this does need to dry, and I'm probably going to do a second coat just to make sure that every part of the pot has been covered by the polycrylic, make sure everything is really sealed. But I am probably going to have to do that after we lose light. So what I'm going to do is let this part dry, and then off camera I will put on another coat and I will show pictures in the morning so that we can see how nice it actually turned out. I'm really happy with how it's looking so far. I'm very excited to put my plant in it.
So here is the finished product after I let it dry overnight with that second coat of polycrylic. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and if this is the type of video that you would like to see again, please let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!